Ladies and gentlemen, boys and NBs, welcome back to Warzone as we only have a couple of days left until Season 5 drops and we get an incredible new SMG. Another 5.7 coming. I'm super hyped for it. There's some other stuff coming. I don't really care, whatever. STG, 100-year-old assault rifle. That's cool. Sorry for the breaking content. I actually cracked 2 ribs, so it literally hurt to talk. That's why I've been out of content for the past week and a half. Still on the mend, but I'm able to do this mostly now. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe if you are new here. I post almost every single day, unless I get into a fist fight, car accident, or whatever you think happened to me. And on that note, let's get into the best loadouts to take into Season 5, because we have guns that we know are going to get nerfed, and then we have guns that probably will either get buffed or stay the same. And then first up, I did want to talk to you guys about a little bit of sniper business. I'm going to cover 3 in whole, but first and foremost, I'm going to give you my personal favorite. This is a one-shot sniper with the best bullet velocity of all of them. We do not know the exact one-shot range, but it is over 130 meters. Do not know where it falls off because we cannot figure it out. The stats say it has an infinite one-shot range, but I can guarantee you a 130 meter one-shot headshot range. And for this build on the Imperium, we're going to start with the sonic suppressor to get our velocity up as good as we can without hurting our ADS. We're going to use the field wrapped hand tape for ADS speed, and that is the only reason. High velocity, once again, for the high velocity. The little bit of range loss doesn't really matter. 130 meter one shot is more than enough. Our laser is the VLK 7 milliwatt laser. I know it's hard to see there. This is for aim stability, aim down sight, and sprint to fire. And then we're using the RIB 400 to get stability in the gun even further, as well as just a little bit of recoil control to help us recenter for follow-up shots. The Imperium is incredible. Do not sleep on this gun. Another gun I've fallen in love with again recently is the XRK Stalker, and we've got just about 100 meters of one-shot range here. Most people have forgotten the Stalker is a one-shot sniper. It is absolutely wonderful. If you're looking for something to use because the Kar 98 is boring, use the Imperium or use the Stalker, and this build is lovely for Resurgence and Big Map combined. And with this build, we're going to start with the XRK Stoic 4 integrally suppressed barrel. It's going to push our range and velocity up while suppressing the gun all in one attachment, getting huge bonuses. This allows us to use the Ole V laser for stability, aim down sight, and sprint to fire, as well as a Ural M stock for even more stability. Heinrichter hybrid scope so we can get a decent scope on the gun and up our aim down sight speed. And then of course, high grain ammo to push our range and our velocity. The Stalker is good. It's been good for a very long time. I just think a lot of people have forgot this gun exists. Throw in your loadout if you're looking for something that's not the Kar 98, because it does everything the Kar 98 does, just better. However, we probably should talk about the Kar 98 because it is really good, and though we do have about 80 meters of one-shot range with this, it's not all it's made for. It has the velocity to hit the shots out to 200 meters, sitting right around 1,000 meters per second. The Kar 98 is not a bad choice at all, and for this build, we are going to start with the Silentium 792 suppressor instead of the sonic suppressor that everyone else is using, and the reason for that is not only are we getting bullet velocity, but we're also getting a ton of aim idle sway, letting us hit quick scopes at those longer ranges much more often. If you're going to Resurgence, I would definitely use the sonic suppressor instead, but for big map, I would definitely rather hit my shots more consistently, roughly 18% more often, than have shots that have an extra 7 meters of one-shot range. We're then going to use the long barrel that I am not going to try to pronounce. This is going to push our range, velocity, all of the stats. You know the deal with the long barrel. High grade ammo, range, velocity as always. The recon sling for aiming stability, as well as a ton of flinch so you can shoot through some AR spam as long as you are good with a sniper. X10 Intless AS7 is a wonderful scope. It does have a visible laser, but it also allows you to hit a hip shot if you need to. It has an incredible optic. It is just awesome. We use this on a gun later too, and I'll explain on that when we get to it, but these are the best 3 snipers in my opinion right now. If you're using the Moors, throw it away. If you're using the Cat, you're going to take 3 business days to aim down sight and I'm going to take your head off. What are you doing? And then next up, let's talk about some of the sniper support options that we have to pair with these snipers. The first one is the Striker. The Striker or Striker 45 is wonderful. This thing has 0 recoil and you can take shots out to 40 meters and win fights against ARs all day. The Striker is so slept on in the meta. I don't know why. It beats the Saperi. It beats the MCW. It is so good. And especially with the parry catching a nerf in just a couple of days. Definitely a gun to look out for. For the build, we're going to start with the ZEM35 compensator for the recoil control, and to keep off the mini-map, obviously, the Striker Elite long barrel. This is going to give us recoil, range, and velocity. This is a sniper support build. DR6 hand stop to up our movement, ADS, and sprint to fire. Jack glassless for those longer range engagements, as this is sniper support. And then 48 rounds is enough for even quads, but if you want to go with the larger drum mag, you absolutely can. The Striker is my favorite SMG to run behind a sniper right now. However, another fantastic option that I haven't seen anyone talk about is actually the P90 or PDSW. The P90 is absolutely slapping, and the new gun is in the same caliber and uses the same magazines, so I think that's why this gun caught a stealth buff. The P90 feels very, very good. If you haven't used it in a while, pull it out, give it a shot. I wiped a whole quad the other day with it. It was fantastic. They were very confused at what killed them, and I was called a hacker. For the build, ZEM35 compensator, as always. Then we're going to throw in the 9.5-inch Duke 30 barrel. This is just to up our ADS and movement stats. That's it. Jack glassless for the longer engagements that we need to take it with. The TV tack comb so we can get some more of the stats that we need here. Then, of course, the Stip 40 grip tape to up our movement stats. The P90 is in a wonderful place, though I would like to see just a little bit of a buff with the patch. I know it's too late to say Dear Activision, even if they were to see the video, but the P90 does feel phenomenal. And then staying on brand, the Ball 27 is another 5.7 rifle that feels absolutely incredible. This is just a futuristic space age P90. Feels pretty much the same, has a very similar TTK, though it is easier to take fights at a little bit longer range. With the Ball 27, we're going to start with the ZEM35 compensator for the same reason as we did before. We're going to use the Prime Minx barrel. This is to up the stats that we need in sniper support with our movement, ADS, etc. DR6 hand stop, same reason as always. 60 round mag because 30 just won't do it. And then of course the hammer grip to get absurd aim down sight and sprint to fire times with this. This moves like an SMG, shoots like an SMG, and does the job of sniper support. The Bal 27 is an awful AR, but it is a great SMG. And then I got one more sniper support option for you, or you can run this doubled up with something else on Rebirth Island, because the Chimera absolutely slaps and everyone is sleeping on it. This gun is not going to catch any kind of nerf, and it absolutely destroys people. For this build, we're going to start with the ZEM35 compensator. As always, I'm going to say that a lot here. We're going to put on the 5.5-inch EXF OP40 barrel, just so we can, number one, put on the ZEM35, but number two, we're going to get some ADS out of it. Absolutely wonderful. DR6 hand stop, as always, for the same reason. High grain rounds to push our range and velocity just a little bit, and then 45 round mag because it's the largest option that we have. And then moving on into ARs, BRs, and LMGs, let's start with the Holger 5.56. This one may catch a nerf, but I doubt it because it's only a 40 round mag, which kind of keeps it in check. We'll see. I've had a lot of fun with this gun, and you can run this behind a sniper, though you just have to make sure that you take your fights accordingly because it is slower than most of the SMG or super aggressive builds. However, in an AR position, this thing is best in slot. And with this build, we're going to start with the Spirit Fire suppressor for the recoil control, range, and velocity, and use the FTAC SP10 to get maximum horizontal recoil control as well as stability. The FTAC SP10 is better than the Bruin Heavy Support Grip in every way. If you don't believe me, go look at the stats on any gun for yourself. We're actually going to use high velocity in this gun. So number one, we're not adding any recoil to our gun, and we're also getting more velocity out of it. That little bit of damage range change is not a big deal. This gun absolutely fries. The 40 round mag is the largest option that we have, so of course we're going to use it. And then the Corio REX Pro optic is the optic of my choice. Use the one that you are most comfortable with. I just have loved this optic since Modern Warfare 2, and I cannot quit it. However, for your easiest option at long range shots, the Pull Me Out 762 is definitely back in the meta. This thing is so incredibly easy to use. It has no recoil. You can absolutely fry entire teams across the entire Rebirth map, or from one side of Urzikstan to the other. Send it postal. It is phenomenal. And with this build, we're going to use the Sonic Suppressor to up our range and velocity. And like I said, no recoil here, so we don't have to worry about it with the Spirit Fire. And use the Jack Annihilator long barrel to push range, velocity once again. We use the BO52 grip. This is going to give us that little bit of recoil control that we need, as well as a ton of aim stability. This grip is so incredible in this gun. Yes, it will hurt your ADS a little bit. This is a long range option, so it's not a big deal. And I said earlier with the Kar 98, you would be seeing the Intless IS-7 as a scope on a gun again. This is not a 9x optic on the Pull Me Out with the aftermarket kit, because with the aftermarket kit, for some reason, this optic only turns into what looks like a 2 to 3 times, which makes it very, very good to use, and it makes your hip fire better as well. And then, of course, we're going to need the Jack Annihilator bullpup kit for the build to finish off. The Pull Me Out 762 is incredibly easy to use, and it has a very respectable TTK. And then another gun with an incredible TTK with almost zero recoil that will absolutely fry is the MTZ 762. The Season 1 meta never went away. It's just kind of been forgotten. This gun absolutely fries people. 6 to 7 shots at any range absolutely dump a target. The only downside here is it's only a 30-round mag. Otherwise, this gun is the perfect one for the job at long and medium ranges. With the build, we're going to start with the Spirit Fire Suppressor to get a bit of recoil control on the gun, as well as push our range and velo. As always, we're going to use the MTZ Precision Blackthorn barrel for the range and stability. We're then going to throw in the FTAC SP10 angled grip to get more stability, as well as horizontal recoil control. The 30-round mag, because it's our largest option. Then I'm using the Intless CAS 14 as my optic, but use the optic that you feel most comfortable with. It does not matter what optic you use, this gun absolutely fries. And then I figured I'd talk about this one next. It is a Modern Warfare 2 gun, but the reason is I literally dropped a nuke last night in duos while I ran that MTZ 762 and my partner ran this M13 or M13 Bravo. The M13B is absolutely top tier meta, and it ain't going away, baby. This thing will absolutely fry people at any range. You can take on Kar 98s, you can take on Cat AMRs, you can take on the Stalker from earlier, you can take on anything with this baby, and it's not too bad in the close range either. With this build, we're going to start with the Spirit Fire Suppressor for recoil, velocity, and range as always. 14-inch Bruin Echelon barrel for the recoil control, range, and velo. High velocity ammunition so we can get up over 900 meters per second. The high velo is a must on this gun because it's a short barreled rifle, which means you need to push the velocity through the roof. 60-round mag, largest option we have, and with that 900 rounds per minute fire rate, you're absolutely going to need it. I'm using the AOK 4x RQ9 Recon, which is a glintless 4x optic. This thing is awesome, and with this gun having no recoil, it feels fantastic. However, if you want to use a different optic, that is all you, but definitely give the M13B a try, especially with this build. If you're going to Rebirth, however, you can drop the Echelon and use the SP10 foregrip, and you will have just as much success. And then, all right, I did throw an MCW on the list, but it's not the MCW that is certainly going to get a nerf because it is the fastest TTK in the game. We're actually going to talk about the gun that has the fastest bullet velocity in the entire game. That is the MCW 6.8. This is a DMR. If you're a regular here on the channel, you know I'm a DMR head. Let's talk about it. This thing is insane. Spirit Fire Suppressor, as always, recoil control, velocity, range. You get the deal with that. We're going to use the Crown 30 barrel. This is going to give us not the maximum amount of velocity that we need. However, we're going to get the range and recoil out of it, and we're still going to have over 1200 meters per second bullet velocity. We're going to throw in the RB Crutalis stock to get even more recoil control in this gun. 30-round mag is more than enough to get the job done. However, if you want the 60, yes, it has a 60. You can absolutely put it on. And then I'm using the Drexen Prime 90, so I have a pay-to-win option, which has a teal hot, red cold, which makes it extremely easy to see targets, and I can see through smoke with it. The MCW 6.8 with any optic is absolutely incredible. You will fry the mid-range and the long range. It kills in anywhere from 3 to 5 shots, depending on your headshots. The MCW 6.8 is absolutely S tier meta. And we talked about the MTZ 762 earlier. Let's talk about its little brother in the MTZ 556, which this gun keeps creeping up, and I wouldn't be surprised if it caught a buff with the patch in a couple of days for Season 5. The MTZ 556 absolutely fries. Its only downside is having only a 50-round drum mag. Other than that, this gun is incredible, very easy recoil pattern, and the TTK is fantastic. And with this build, we're going to start with the Spirit Fire Suppressor, as always, with a mid-long range option. We're going to use the Clinch Pro barrel for the stability, range, and velo. If you need the recoil control from the other long barrel, absolutely do it. I just feel like this barrel makes more shots hit, and that's why I'm going with it. FTAC SP10 angled grip to get all that horizontal recoil control as well as stability. It is better than the Bruin Heavy, I promise you. If you still don't believe me, check the stats. 50 round drum, largest option, and then I'm using the AMOP V4 for a little bit of that vintage flair. I've got the purple dot for it, looks great, and it absolutely hammers people. MTZ 556, I look to be at the top of the meta in Season 5. And then another gun that has been sitting towards the top of the meta and never goes away is the BASB, the SIG Spear, the XM7. It has so many names, whatever you want to call it. Do not sleep on it. Extremely easy to control. Feels like the AMAX of 2024. The BASB is absolutely incredible. Once again, Spirit Fire Suppressor as always on these mid-long range. You can use the Bruin Venom long barrel to get the velo, recoil, etc. I have the SZ SR07 optic on because this does the same thing as the Jack Glassless as far as stability, but it's a 2 times, not a 1 time. The FTAC SP10 angled grip, same reason as always, and the 45 round mag because it's the largest option we have. The BASB is absolutely the most reliable AR/BR LMG in the game. I love this thing and I will take it in every single regain scenario. And then hey fellas, I just wanted to stop for a second because if you're still here, you definitely like my content, and just double check that you're subscribed because almost 90% of my viewers are not. It'd be a shame if you couldn't find your way back here for the best gun builds in all of Warzone. I've got a lot of big videos coming up and I'd love to have you there. And make sure to like the video. Let's finish out with talking about some SMGs to put behind those AR/BR LMGs. And of course, it goes without saying, the sniper support builds from earlier, most of them you can run behind an AR, etc. However, these are more purpose-built to be hyper-aggressive. And I do have the Lockman sub or MP5 here because it absolutely fries and it's a ton of fun. I've never been able to quit this gun. It's just so good. We have modified the build just slightly from Modern Warfare 2 to Modern Warfare 3 to make it better, and this gun is in its prime right now. With this build, once again, as always, starting with the ZEM35 compensator and the DR6 hand stop, we're going to throw high grain rounds in this to push out the 12 meters of damage range for that optimal range. 40 round mag is more than enough. If you want to use the 50, go ahead. Just know it's a Modern Warfare 2 gun and it is going to hurt your stats a lot. FT mobile stock. This is something that I figured out last year and no one else has figured out. Not only does the FT mobile stock give you every stat that it lists with your movement, your ADS, your sprint to fire, but it also adds 18% to your range, taking that 12% and pushing it out to 18%. This thing is incredible still, and I don't see anyone using it. I've seen a lot of people use the Shroud with the aftermarket kit. That thing is garbage. Pull out the good old Locky sub and get the job done because this thing is amazing. And then keeping it old school, we're going to use the MP7 or Vel 46, which absolutely fries as an SMG and sniper support. I covered this in the last long range video as a sniper support, so let's carry it as a hyper aggressive SMG behind an AR/BR. With this build, ZEM compensator and the DR6 hand stop as always on every gun in this position, I swear. 50 round mag is more than enough. Don't use the 60 on this ever, it's just not worth it. Schlager Soldier rear grip for the ADS and sprint to fire, and then we're using the precision stock to get the aim stability to be able to take fights to that 20 to 25 meter range if we get caught out. The MP7 or Vel 46 is absolutely incredible and no one's using it. I don't know why. Like I said, it's absolutely phenomenal. The movement speed is great on it. It just gets the job done. I also wanted to show you guys this camo that I found really quick for still being here. Check out this free glowing camo you can get in zombies off of the Carrick 300. It is so bright, it looks like a paid or event camo. This thing is awesome. Let's get back to the guns. And then, all right, fellas, I know you know I got a bunch of Horus builds out there already, but I wanted to give you one I've been having a ton of fun with in the last week or so. And this is a tac stance build for the FJX Horus that absolutely fries everyone inside of about 22 meters. It is insane. You can style on people with the Saperi. It's just good fun. And with this build, we're going to use the ZEM35 compensator as always. However, we're going to use the GRV-Z short grip that we got with the Reclaimer to give us all of that tack stance that we need, with the Ruse 90 light barrel so we can number one put the Zem compensator on, but to up our ADS and our movement speed, 60 round drum mag because we can take every fight and not worry about ammo, and then of course no stock for movement, ADS, sprint to fire, and tack stance. The FJX Horus is probably the best gun for tack stance in the game, with that incredible fire rate and the ability to move at almost 4 meters per second. The FJX Horus in tack stance is insane. And then alright, the last thing I got for you is the Reclaimer 18, which a lot of people have talked smack on this, and it's because they don't understand how to use it. The Reclaimer is absolutely at the top of the meta, and when we get the akimbo attachment for this, it's gonna be insanely broken. But with this build, you will two-shot anyone to 14 meters reliably. Occasionally you will need a third shot, but it's not a big deal. We're gonna use this in semi-auto, we're gonna aim down sight and absolutely fry. So with this build, we're gonna start with the X10 modified choke so we can push our range and tighten that bolo spread up just a little bit. The bolo does have a small amount of spread, but with the X10 modified choke, it completely removes it. This feels like a slug, but hits so hard in that close range. Of course, bolo shells, as I said, DR6 hand stop to keep us as aggressive as possible, the hinge LAF light stock to give us as much movement and ADS as possible without blocking our ability to see our iron sights because the folded stock is atrocious. Then the Discourager 900 heavy barrel to push our range as far as possible. The Reclaimer 18 in semi-auto absolutely dumps people. And alright boys, that's gonna do it for me. I don't even know how many guns I just gave you, but it was a lot. It was like, I don't know, 18 maybe? Don't hold me on that number. I don't know what's going on right now. My ribs hurt, it hurts to breathe, but I'm gonna get out of here. So until next time, leave me alone and like the video.
Like us till we put on the boots, man. Voodoo, death trap, ticking time bomb.